The 2006 college basketball season was dominated by one major storyline: the battle between junior Adam Morrison and senior JJ Redick for the National Player of the Year. Both players had emerged as lethal scorers on elite teams, and while we do remember JJ Redick as one of the best scoring guards in recent college basketball history, it was Adam Morrison who would get the better of him this year, as Morrison emerged as both the nation's top scorer with 28.1 points per game, and more importantly, emerged as a player who scouts saw as perhaps the NBA's next big-time star. Yes, as we all know now, JJ Redick has enjoyed a long NBA career, and Adam Morrison was one of the biggest busts we've ever seen, but the reason he is seen as such a bust is because of the hype the man generated in 2006. As you are about to see, some scouts fell so in love with this iconic floppy hair and mustache that many believed Adam should be the #1 pick in the draft, and some went as far as to say that he was the next Larry Bird. What's up guys, Mike here, and yes, today we are looking at the life of Adam Morrison. In this video, I'm going to take you through the highs when he was a superstar at Gonzaga. Also, where some people went as far as to say he was the next Larry Bird. That really happened. Also, we're going to look at why he was an NBA bust, and then we're going to look at his life after basketball, aka we're going to see if the rumors are really true. Is the man living in a bunker? Yes, that is what some people have said, so let's see if that's true. I hope you enjoy the video. Because he has type 1 diabetes, the basketball life of Adam Morrison was never going to be easy. Growing up as the ball boy for Gonzaga, all Adam dreamed about was eventually becoming a star for the program he idolized. However, at just the young age of 14, Adam's basketball career was already in doubt, because when playing at a basketball camp at Eastern Washington University, it was clear that Adam was very sick. As he remembers thinking, quote, "I was sicker than a dog. I think I made one shot the whole 3 days. I didn't want to play. I couldn't do anything." Obviously, something was very wrong, and eventually it was determined that Morrison suffered from type 1 diabetes, a disease that can cause heart attacks, vision problems, early death, you name it. It is also a disease that seemingly makes playing a fast-paced sport such as basketball extremely difficult, if not impossible. Each and every game, Adam would have to constantly check his blood sugar levels and inject insulin into his stomach, and at the time that he got his diagnosis, the news that he had diabetes was immediately a scary wake-up call for Adam. As he recalls, quote, "When it came to sports, I was scared and I didn't know how to deal with the disease. But then, as time went on, he realized that's the biggest myth of the disease. People think you're limited in athletics. You are in some aspects, but if you have control of it, you're not limited." So with this disease, Adam was at a clear disadvantage in some regards when compared to other players, but he never let that stop him. Morrison grew up to become the type of player who simply would not quit when on a basketball court, something he would prove when during his senior year in the state championship game, Adam was fighting off seizures due to his diabetes, but still played his way through this and ended the game with an incredible 37 points. As his college coach Mark Few would eventually say, that kid is as tough is. And before we continue guys, I do want to give a huge shout out to FanDuel for sponsoring today's video. Now, FanDuel is an app that's available both on the Google Play Store or Apple's App Store, and it's also a daily fantasy sports app that allows you to draft lineups from different sports. If you're watching this video, you're probably going to be choosing the NBA, but you could also choose the NHL, MLB, NFL when it comes back. So here we are. I've made my account, as you can see, and now FanDuel gives you the opportunity to jump into a bunch of different fantasy contests with different prize pools. So the contest we're looking at tonight has an $8,000 prize pool. As you can see, the better you place, the better your prizes. If you come in first, you make $1,200. Second is $600, and you make money all the way up until 375th place. And looking at the contest details, my goal is just to stay under the salary cap here, so let's choose a a team. And if you, like me, are expecting a big game from Kawhi Leonard, maybe you're going to want to go with Kawhi as your MVP. Moving on, my lineup wraps up with Fournier as my second player, Aaron Gordon as number 3, Lowry and Fred VanVleet at 4 and 5. Now all I have to do is click submit, and it's at this point for you guys that you can use the promo code GOAT26. Yes, that is the code GOAT26 to claim a $5 bonus. For most of Adam's high school career, Gonzaga was on the fence as to whether or not they should offer him a scholarship. In fact, Mark Few's first impression of Adam was that he was an awkward kid with an even more awkward shooting motion. Morrison would later explain that colleges were not interested in him because, quote, I was smaller, only 6'5" or 6'6" my junior year, and I was kind of slow. However, after watching one of Adam's high school games, Mark Few would receive a phone call and would say, quote, my assistant called and asked how he looked and asked how many points he scored at halftime. I picked up the stat sheet and he had 30. I said, we might have something here. Because of this, Gonzaga was the only team that saw what Morrison could become, and according to Scout.com, Adam Morrison was not a top 100 recruit. In fact, he was ranked as only the 26th best small forward in his class, a decision that Dave Tellup, the man in charge of Scout.com's rankings that year, would later say was the biggest mistake he had made in his entire career. And the reason Tellup thought this would soon become apparent, as before Adam had ever stepped foot on a college basketball court, in the summer before his freshman season, he was already dominating his soon-to-be teammates in preseason pickup games. In those pickup games, neither Corey Violet, one of the team's best big men, or Blake Stepp, the team's best perimeter defender, could guard the incoming freshman. He was ridiculous, Stepp would say, and it wasn't just me or Corey, everyone had trouble guarding him. And because of his dominance during Gonzaga pickup games, it really should come as no surprise that as a freshman, Adam made an immediate impact off the bench, scoring almost 12 points per game in around 21 minutes. Things would get even better as a sophomore when Mark Few decided to run the offense directly through Adam and watched as Morrison produced 19 points per game while leading Gonzaga to a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. It is Adam's junior season, however, where he really shined, and because of his solid sophomore season, Morrison was named as a preseason All-American. However, despite this preseason All-American label, no one could have possibly expected what would happen next. Before we get into Morrison's historic junior season though, let's set the stage for the 2006 college basketball season in general. Because headed into this year, Adam was the only junior along with 4 seniors to be named to the preseason first team All-American roster. The most notable senior on that roster was of course JJ Redick, aka the most hated man in college basketball. And it was due to JJ's villain type status that when matched up against JJ in the player of the year race, Adam became sort of a media hero / darling. Moving on to the actual season though, Gonzaga would open things up by playing in the Maui Invitational, a tournament that included several of the nation's top teams, and after they took down Maryland in the first round, they found themselves matched up against a 10th ranked Michigan State team. And in this game, Adam Morrison would cement his place as one of the best players in the nation by scoring 43 points in a triple overtime win against the Spartans. Later, the head coach of Michigan State, Tom Izzo, would say, quote, he was just unbelievable. It was one of the all-time great games. And years later, when Morrison was asked what that game meant, he would say, quote, that put it at a whole different level from there on out. And even though Gonzaga would lose in the championship game of the Maui Invitational against UConn, Adam Morrison was still named the MVP of the tournament, and suddenly it was Adam Morrison and Gonzaga that had become must-watch basketball for the rest of the 2006 season. Adam, well, he became a national phenomenon. Fans loved to cheer for the man who, with his floppy hair and mustache, looked like he should be some sort of construction worker, but instead was a first-team All-American who averaged 28.1 points per game. As a college junior, Adam could do it all. His jump shot was automatic. He could bang in the post. He finished tough drive after tough drive. He was a true superstar. And in the first round of the NCAA tournament, Dick Vitale would tell the world that Morrison, quote, will be a flat-out superstar in the NBA, later saying that Adam should also be the #1 pick. Going even further, However, by the time the draft rolled around, NBADraft.net would have Adam Morrison's player comparison as Larry Bird. Meanwhile, the site also compared LaMarcus Aldridge, the man drafted one spot ahead of Adam, to Channing Frye. And the thing is, while this Larry Bird comparison is obviously absurd, several other draft sites at the time had Morrison as their #1 overall prospect in a draft that would give us 5 NBA All-Stars and 4 players who would make at least one All-NBA team. Which means this probably was the high point of Adam Morrison's basketball career. Because after losing in the Sweet 16, Adam would produce an iconic clip of pure emotion as he cried when the final buzzer sounded. That's how much his school and this season had meant to him, but because people can be cruel, many made fun of him for crying. As Adam remembers, quote, "I guess it is what it is. I'll live in infamy, but it's not like I'm the first guy on the court to show emotion, and I won't be the last. I've put all that stuff to rest. If this is my most embarrassing moment, I'm fine with that." Which is very true and very respectable in my opinion. I think that is the best way to handle a situation like that. However, moving on in this video, as I said before, things in Adam's career would only continue to get worse. Because yes, Adam Morrison was picked 3rd by the Bobcats in the 2006 draft, and during his rookie year with Charlotte, Adam Morrison did average 11.8 points per game, which is comparable to a lot of rookies who eventually become NBA All-Stars. However, due to the fact that he shot just 37% from the field, and because the speed of the NBA seemed to be just too much for Morrison to handle, especially on the defensive end, Adam would lose his starting spot midway through the year, and unfortunately, Morrison clearly did not fit in with his fellow NBA teammates, and things would get so bad that looking back at the situation, Jared Dudley would actually reveal that, quote, "Remember Adam Morrison? He never took showers, he did the chewing tobacco that he spit all the time, and he wore the same 3 polos the whole year. Gerald Wallace had to force him to shower one time. Imagine forcing a grown man to take a shower. He should be ashamed of himself." Which, those were some very harsh words from a man who I thought was one of the nicer players in the NBA. And as you may have guessed, things would get even worse for Adam in year 2, as during the preseason, he would tear his ACL, an injury that former teammate Matt Carroll would explain best by saying that injury just made it so hard for him on defense. He barely had enough athleticism to begin with. That small amount the injury took away made all the difference, which meant in just 44 games back from that injury, after Adam averaged only 4.5 points per game, the Bobcats would decide it was time to cut ties with him and traded him to the Lakers. In his short stint with the Lakers, Morrison would actually win 2 championships. However, in those 2 seasons, the most points per game he would average was just 2.4, and he would actually not step foot on the court during any of the NBA finals. From there, after 4 years in the NBA, Adam would be cut from the Lakers roster, and he would never play in the NBA again. And while he did do alright overseas, he was nothing close to the star player he had once been in college. He was suddenly just an average basketball player, which meant after one more failed attempt at returning to the NBA in 2013, Adam would call it quits and officially retire. Looking back at his career, you can't help but feel bad for the man, as he has said the reason he never made an NBA comeback was that, quote, "Once you get that bust label, it's hard to shake it, and rightfully so. Somebody spent a top 5 pick on you and you didn't deliver." However, with all of this said, I don't want this video to have a sad ending, because Adam Morrison's life is anything but sad at this time. Due to the fact that he was the #3 pick in the NBA draft, Morrison of course made millions of dollars throughout his career, and thanks to the help of his uncle, invested that money wisely and now lives off it. His only real job at this time is as the radio analyst for Gonzaga basketball, because while he did try out coaching and was good at it, Adam did not want to work the long hours that coaching a college basketball program entailed, and instead has chosen to spend as much time as possible with his 3 kids. Yes, currently Adam has 2 daughters and a son and lives a pretty happy life. In his words, he said, "I'm kind of a boring guy. I'm like your typical soccer dad," which in my opinion is a bit of self-depreciation, because by all accounts, Adam's work as a radio analyst has been great. I also want to make it clear that right now, Adam Morrison does not have some kind of apocalypse gun-filled bunker, which was a rumor that went around in 2016. That rumor popped up because of Kyle Wiltshire, a then star player at at Gonzaga who had never been to Adam Morrison's house, but decided to say on a podcast that Adam kept guns and ammo in a locked storage room in his basement, which were comments that bothered Adam so much that he reached out to an attorney about a defamation lawsuit and has since said, "I was upset because I have children and I don't want people thinking I'm a lunatic," which to me is understandable. Morrison and Wiltshire have made peace though, and Adam has made peace with his NBA career in general. Again, in Adam's words, he's looked back at his basketball career as a whole and said, "I was upset for a while about how my career turned out. At times, sure, I wish I was still playing, but I'm not like, aw dang, I screwed this up and I'm working at a Costco." And thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for watching. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day and cue that music. By the way, if you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are going to love watching. All you have to do is just click on either one of them on the screen right here. And other than that, guys, again, have a great day and peace.